The ink wasn't even dry on the custody deal, and Prince Harry detonated the palace with one sentence that changed everything. February 8, 2026. The House of Windsor wasn't just rattled. It was shaken to its ancient foundations. Because behind closed doors, off camera, in a statement never meant to echo across continents, Harry reportedly said the words that split his world in half under the royal guardianship protocol. Princess Anne would never allow my children to be abandoned, and neither will I abandoned. That was the word. Not misunderstood, not mismanaged, abandoned. And just like that, this wasn't a separation rumor. This wasn't a celebrity custody spat. This was a father accusing a mother and invoking the crown to back him. Let that sink in. Because when Harry referenced the royal guardianship protocol, he wasn't venting, he was activating something. A constitutional safeguard so rarely used, it's practically myth. A clause designed for crisis, identity threats, psychological instability, royal heirs in danger of exploitation. And suddenly, his children weren't just Archie and Lilibet. They were minor heirs under sovereign scrutiny. 6 weeks earlier, the cracks were already visible. December 18th, 2025. Los Angeles. The Global Impact Awards. A glittering Amazon Studios gala, cameras flashing, $3.5 million reportedly on the line to promote a stalled docuseries titled Legacy. Beyond the crown, but insiders whispered it didn't look like Legacy. It looked like the end. They weren't smiling at each other, they weren't leaning in. Meghan looked distracted. Harry avoided the press line completely. One attendee said it felt like two people finishing an obligation, not building a future, and now we know why. Because behind the scenes, Harry had already begun assembling something explosive. By the final week of January 2026, legal filings were reportedly underway in California. And not with just any attorney. He retained Laura Wasser, the woman Hollywood calls when love turns nuclear Kim Kardashian, Johnny Depp, Angelina Jolie, high conflict custody. And according to court insiders, Harry wasn't asking for joint flexibility. He filed for sole custody. The allegation? That Meghan had abandoned her parental duties in favor of international brand-building ventures, Dubai, Doha, extended residencies, over 110 days abroad in 2025. One source close to proceedings said this wasn't jealousy, it was abandonment. Harry's team reportedly submitted customs records, immigration logs, internal Archwell emails. Even school administrators flagged unpaid tuition since November 2025, unpaid tuition for royal children. That detail alone ignited speculation of chaos inside Montecito. And then the palace did something it almost never does. It responded. On February 2nd, 2026, through a legal communique, the Royal Guardianship Protocol was officially reactivated under exceptional circumstances. Princess Anne, the steel spine of the monarchy, was authorized to initiate joint proceedings with the UK High Court and California's Superior Court under the Windsor, California Reciprocal Protection Accord of 2024 within hours. Archie and Lilibet's UK and US passports were frozen commercial contracts using their names. Suspended. A royal memo declared the crown cannot permit its minor descendants to become monetized narratives. That wasn't subtle. Between February 4 and 6, under discreet coordination led by Prince Edward, the children were relocated to a controlled royal enclave near Sandringham Wolverton Cottage. Not to hide them, to stabilize them. Supervised care. Child psychologists from the Royal Pediatric Trust. Limited external contact containment, one palace insider called it. And while that was unfolding in the UK, California's education sector was blindsided. Harry officially withdrew both children from Santa Barbara Prep Academy Media, seized on the overdue tuition detail. Financial distress? Household chaos? Or something more strategic? Meanwhile, Meghan reportedly attempted multiple direct contacts. All rerouted through court-appointed mediators, Harry's legal team insisted no contact without approval from his counsel and child welfare supervisor. This wasn't just marital breakdown. This was institutional lockdown. At 7:13 a.m. GMT, a 42-word message confirmed Prince Harry had entered formal co-petition status in a protective minor guardianship matter, and this time he signed it with the full weight of his birth name, His Royal Highness. Prince Henry Charles Albert David observers gasped. Because for 2 years, he distanced himself from that identity. Now he was wielding it. His legal team followed with a supplementary filing containing personal testimony and verified voice memos from Montecito 7 incidents in 4 months. documenting deliberate exclusion from decisions regarding schooling, public exposure, international travel. One date stood out. January 12, 2026. Meghan signed an intent to withdraw a letter from California Day Preparatory Academy without Harry's co-signature attached. A transfer inquiry to a Dubai-based media-friendly education provider, citing geostrategic visibility and brand continuity for children. 2 days later, Harry messaged Princess Anne, "I don't know how to stop this anymore. If I don't act, my children will be platforms. I'd rather be hated for protecting them than loved for staying blind." That message became the turning point. Emergency council convened. Clause 8 of the Custodial Independence Statute invoked behind the scenes. A timeline emerged. October 2025, alleged luxury skincare photo shoot involving Lilibet without Harry's consent. November 2025, Archie appeared in a branded holiday video posted by Meghan's team. December 2025, flights booked to Abu Dhabi for a royal-themed gala appearance. January 2026, Harry's access reduced to 2. Supervised video calls per week taken separately. Maybe noise. Taken together? A pattern. The palace brave concluded Meghan had treated the children's royal ties as commercial equity, and then came the allegation that shocked even seasoned royal watchers. Requests for AI-generated reenactment content using the children's likenesses. Without crown consent, that was the moment the tide turned fully. By February 8, Harry accepted Princess Anne's offer of interim relocation to Grey House, a high-protection zone for vulnerable royal minors. Meghan's camp responded with fury. In a leaked voice memo, she allegedly said, "They've manipulated him. Anne is brainwashing him, and if they think they're getting my kids, they'll have to burn me down first." But Harry didn't retreat. On February 9, he arrived unannounced at Clarence house. No Netflix crew, no branding, just a black coat, a briefcase, and a stuffed Paddington bear, Lilibet's favorite toy symbolism dripping. And then he delivered the line that echoed across the Atlantic, "I was once told that royalty was a trap." But maybe what's worse is when children are used to unlock someone else's brand. That's not love. That's leverage. Leverage. That was the second word that detonated everything. Because once you accuse someone of using children as leverage, you're not negotiating anymore. You're declaring war. And just when the world thought the worst had already detonated, Harry went further. February 9th, 2026. Santa Barbara Family Law Court. The petition was entitled Divorce. It was entitled Custody Battle. It was called Declaration of Protective Intent for minor heirs of the House of Windsor, not heirs of Harry. Heirs of Windsor, 47 pages, legal fire, and inside that filing, Harry didn't just accuse Meghan of emotional distance, he framed it as a structural collapse of parental responsibility, financial prioritization of Middle Eastern investments, extended residencies abroad. Emotional detachment observed in the Montecito household, and then came the line that stopped even seasoned reporters cold. A confidential letter, allegedly from a former Montessori teacher, claimed Lilibet had asked if her mother had a new family in Dubai. If true, that wasn't branding, that was fracture. But here's what made this explosive beyond California. Harry didn't immediately request full custody. He requested a structured institutional guardianship transition under the 2022 Windsor Accord Clause. He wasn't trying to win. He was trying to hand the children to the institution. That terrified Meghan's camp. Because institutions don't negotiate emotionally, they execute. Princess Anne, already anticipating this months prior, had quietly prepared a framework internally known as Protocol Street George Dual Sovereign Guardianship, Transatlantic Custody Recognition, contingency planning for parental incapacitation, emotional, reputational, or otherwise. Meanwhile, at Clarence House, Prince William convened strategy meetings alongside Catherine, and senior advisors. 2 moves emerged from that room. First, Catherine would publicly affirm her relationship with Archie and Lilibet, and signal readiness to assume partial guardianship if required. Second, William invoked temporary acting sovereign authority granted by King Charles to authorize diplomatic protections through the British Embassy in Washington. Now, this wasn't family drama. This was statecraft. A confidential cable directed embassy staff to monitor the constitutional uniqueness of the Windsor minors monitoring royal children on foreign soil. Meghan reportedly responded with what one staffer described as a glacial rage. Her legal team countered, accusing Harry of coordinating a British imperialist narrative to seize children for royal propaganda. But then, the leaks started. Internal security memos outlining Meghan's extended Dubai residency plans through 2026, a school withdrawal form signed January 28, and a brand strategy brief titled Project Emancipation, designed to reposition her as a sovereign businesswoman unburdened by domestic roles. Unburdened by domestic roles. In the middle of a custody dispute, public sentiment began to tilt. A February 10 poll found 71% support across the UK, Canada, and Australia for structured custodial transfer to royal representatives. Even 52% of California respondents supported limited royal oversight that shook Hollywood. Princess Anne remained silent publicly, but convened the Sovereign Guardianship Advisory Council at Sandringham unanimous resolution, file an amicus brief in Harry's custody case, and approve a secure UK-based educational plan. Lady Louise Windsor was dispatched to the US to prepare a safeguarding review titled Windsor Heirs Under Duress Behind Palace Walls. This was no longer damage control, it was recalibration. Then came February 6, 9:45 a.m. Prince William invoked the Royal Family Custodial Sovereignty Charter, officially enacting the guardianship protocol of 2026. Archie and Lilibet were placed under joint guardianship of the Crown, William, Catherine, and Princess Anne, until 18 or further review sealed. Notarized. Diplomatic notification issued to U.S. authorities. Meghan, en route to a Vogue interview, was notified her visitation rights were temporarily suspended pending compliance review. Paparazzi captured what insiders called visible panic, disbelief. Then rage, her team cried overreach. Legal analysts cited repeated non-compliance, erratic travel, and commercial exploitation as breaches under the Windsor Accord. Meanwhile, Catherine was photographed visiting a therapeutic center in Windsor. Subtle message. Stability. Integration, routine. Social media erupted. They're not accessories, they're children. Counterpost, this is William's power grab disguised as compassion. And Harry? Silent. Rumors swirled he had voluntarily entered a mental health facility. Others claimed he was regrouping in Scotland under Anne's advisement, but one thing was undeniable: he was no longer defending Meghan. Meghan attempted a preliminary appeal in California to block enforcement of UK guardianship. Experts warned dual citizenship minors tied to sovereign accords rarely follow standard jurisdictional rules, her legal footing weakened by the hour. Then, the reputational collapse accelerated. Paris Fashion Week revoked her approved appearance, citing reputational risk. Vogue, Chanel, and others issued soft bans. A leaked WhatsApp exchange allegedly described her as radioactive. And then, the flight manifest surfaced. February 6, Van Nuys to Dubai. Private jet reservation. The children's names pre-registered as passengers. That document became the basis for a supplemental motion to restrict international travel entirely at Sandringham. Catherine was photographed reading bedtime stories to Charlotte, and Lou, with the contrast, wasn't accidental. The monarchy wasn't fractured anymore, it was consolidated. Then February 10 arrived. A final royal conclave convened at Windsor Castle, Princess Anne presiding. Prince William beside her as acting sovereign. King Charles joining via secure video at exactly 9 a.m. GMT, and read a sealed document titled Instrument of Total Disassociation and Disinheritance, the Sussex Protocol 6 Declarations. Full title revocation, disinheritance clause, activation custodial, overruling transferring guardianship to Duchess Sophie of Edinburgh, legal action against Arkewell Foundation, public statement authorization, final sunset order. 30 days to remove all title references. William signed in Black Windsor. Inc. The era of exception is over. What follows is order. The palace press release went viral in under 10 minutes. Global headlines. Divided reactions. But constitutional scholars agreed on one thing: this was unprecedented. Not even the abdication crisis had ended this completely. Meghan reportedly posted nothing. Harry was spotted at Heathrow, pale, clutching a leather bag, and that evening, Princess Anne delivered a rare direct message: for the sake of the nation, for the welfare of the children involved, and for the integrity of the crown, these decisions were necessary. No trembling voice, no apology, just finality. Because once a monarchy decides containment is protection, it does not negotiate, it endures. And in February 2026, endurance meant something brutal. The crown had chosen the children. And in doing so, it had drawn a line that Harry crossed willingly. A father invoking the very institution he once fled. A mother fighting the fortress she underestimated. And two children at the center of a storm that rewrote royal history forever.